Ryan here with a side project update. So today I got the foundations of the code working that will let me receive and transmit sensor car data that I can learn using the sensor car over there, which broadcasts out infrared data to be received by the sensor tracks and used by the layout control system iPad app or other functions such as automatic announcements and other features that you can record in the cab 2 there. And I wanted to add a way to produce this data on LionChief and other locomotives, considering Lionel discontinued this sensor car here, which was the only way of adding on sensor infrared data to the older locomotives. They discontinued that a few years ago, and they never did make a traditional sized version, only the scale one that you see right there. In fact, I actually have a traditional sized version of the same sort of REX boxcar right there, and they never made one that would fit in. Well, they never made a board that you could just drop into any locomotive. So that was my goal, to learn the data that's being sent out of a real sensor car and use the Arduino to learn the data and recreate it and do it from memory, so that I don't actually need to have the real sensor car present in all of my different trains. So eventually here I'd like to figure out how exactly it works and actually reprogram the signals using a little OLED display with some buttons on it. And then I could use the buttons to reprogram the name, the road name, the road number, and theoretically also the engine ID right into the Arduino directly. Then this whole purpose, though, is again so that I can add on this infrared tracking capability to any locomotive, including LionChief, and do it using whatever box car or maybe even a flat car that I feel like doing it on. So the main tool that I needed to use to get this done was a digital storage oscilloscope, and I had to do a lot of analysis data there. You see the data shooting by in real time on the screen right there. Like if I was to move this sensor car out of position, you see almost all the data stops. Just a little timing pulse is left on the screen. So if I move it back over, there we go. So hold on. Again, off the sensor, over the sensor. So that sensor is running into an Arduino that I have a very customized program written to log the data into my computer, and then I do some post-processing editing on the data on the computer to make it ready to go back into the Arduino code. And with that, I made another program that decodes that stored data from memory and sends it out of another infrared LED on a different Arduino. So right now I can demonstrate this because I've loaded a demonstration road name into the code that will say LionChief NW2 as the engine road name on the screen here for engine ID number 1. So what I'm going to do next is grab the sensor track section there, the sled for the IRV2, and I'm going to pass it in front of my Arduino. And what you'll see is the iPad will show an indicator right on the top of the screen there, and the road name will change on the cab 2. So here we go. So there we have, it's loading up. Actually, it's funny, just display the, hold on. There we go. So there we have it showing LionChief NW2. And let me just clear the, oopsie, not that. Clear that data out again so we get a little cleaner. It's not 100% perfect, but it's pretty successful usually. There we go. So there we have NW2 showing up on the screen as I pass this in one direction or the other, and you see a little arrow showing up. There we go. Left to right, right to left. Although the arrow on there is backwards because I'm probably holding this backwards. But anyway, so there it is working. And now I can reprogram it right now, but I can only do it by changing the programmed information on the real sensor car at the moment and recording that and putting it back into the Arduino, because my next step is going to be to actually change the data that's being sent out of the sensor car using the cab 2, and I will use those changes to learn where the different pieces of information are stored by just comparing side by side. So, I'll change one letter, see what happens, and figure out where the different letters are stored. And then all I need to do at that point is add in the little screen and the buttons onto the Arduino to give me a interface to reprogram it with. So that's it for now. Updates to come. Have a good one.